I'm going to be reading today from my book, Feller. I really struggled in the months before this book came out to think about how I was going to talk about the book, how to frame it and introduce it to people. And I worked I got this whole framework set up, how to talk about how the book is about desire and about longing and love and how it connects to place and all of this. And then somebody reviewed the book and they said it was a meditation on sex and death. And I was like, well, that's not how I wanted to talk about it at all. But I mean, I don't know, maybe I can't argue about it. So I'm just decided to embrace it. And I'm going to start with a poem called Under the Chestnut Tree. What strange light filters through the sex of a chestnut tree, leaves and catkins blooming and softly falling, sickly sweet smell pressing into the warmth of thick July. Whatever's dropped, I heap into piles and set on fire. Flames engulf, then slow to a smolder that keeps the gnats at bay. Smell of smoke, smell of sex, sips of whiskey bewitch shade into dusk, the way burnt offerings lure out stars and lovers. Do you hear the cicadas? And how about the whippoorwill? I hear him late into night, nearly 4 decades gone from these wooded foothills, but return to sound his warrior song, whippoorwill, whippoorwill, turf warning as well as mating call, a blast that rips through my sleep some nights and leaves me to lie awake and wonder about the choices I've made. And I wonder why the whippoorwill was so long silent, probably too much pesticide, not enough moths and beetles, all the too usual reasons. What makes him think things will be different this time? What calls him back? What sustains this small nightjar's blind bravery? Anybody ever see that? It's kind of an old show now, River Monsters. You know that show? River Monsters is one of my, I don't even want to say it's a guilty pleasure because I don't necessarily like it, but it's one of those things that I can't turn away from when I see it, you know? So the host of that show is Jeremy Wade. And one of the things that I did when I was writing this book was to write several epistolary poems or letter poems. So some of the letters are to people from my real life. Some of them are to historical or people who have died. But this one is to Jeremy Wade, the host of River Monsters. So letter to Jeremy Wade. Last night, I watched you dangle in a cage while a school of bull sharks circled round just so you could shine a light into their eyes, an experiment to see if their ocular tissue, the tapetum lucidum, might glow devil red, but only a yellow glare reflected back, eerie in its own right. Tapetum lucidum, Latin for bright tapestry, like the bio with its ancient world woven inside and all those lives depicted in thread, except this bright tapestry gives some animals superior night vision. God knows why I get sucked in as you interview villagers across the globe who pause their digging in some river's clay to recall the night the monster with the red eyes dragged a lamb or a shoat or maybe a child underwater. I wish you would tell me instead about the phoenix, the Quetzalcoatl, the griffin, magical beast with the kind of oracular sight that can see meaning in waters far murkier than where your monsters navigate. Oh, Jeremy, when you dive into mysterious rivers, do you ever wonder about your soul? If I looked into the bright tapestry of the phoenix's eyes, would the light of my half-lived life reflect at all? This is called Breach. All our conversations circle back to desire, you wanting to know what I want, using desire singular, as if I have only one when I'm normally drowning in them. I sailed once to South Africa's Western Cape to witness southern right whales breaching. I wasn't impressed at the penguin beach, but the baleen mothers and their calves breaking the horizon, splashing salt spray, that quickened my pulse. The whole pod swam closer to observe us. I wanted to dive in, to give myself to their body of water, but my guide held me back, reminding me the ocean we desire might desire us to live a little longer on dry land. So clearly some of the poems do speak to romantic love and longing, but place is always very important in my work. And so I hope in some of the poems that I tried to address the longing that we feel for certain places, whether it's home or other places that are meaningful to us. I find that I have friends who live all over the place and I want to go visit them, and I'm like planning about how to get there and like when I can go. And then as soon as I leave home, I'm like, I can't wait to get back home, you know? So this poem sort of speaks to that. Returning. My heart is divided, split in devotion to where I am and where I want to be. My wish to sew my own lifeline with a single, simple thread is thwarted by these rolling Appalachians, their foothills and low reliefs. So my path unwinds like cable stitch that twins and twists but never breaks. I also just enjoy when I'm writing poetry to kind of interrogate language wherever possible. I also like to think about mythology of all different kinds. So a mythological character from where I live is Davy Crockett. And so I mixed both of those things in this poem. This is called The Word of the Day is Largesse. From the Latin largus, meaning not just big, but abundant, generous. I am blessed by the largesse of those who came before me, benefactors bestowing aid and alms, though no one gives alms these days, another ancient word, this one from Greek, akin to compassion. After Artemis transformed Hippocrates' daughter into a sea serpent, men seeking the largesse of her father lined up to free the girl with their kiss, yet those men fled the serpent's scaly mouth, her split tongue, her poisoned breath. Did I mention those men each died soon after? The moral is, if you can't love with compassion, just get out, leave. I've been reading mythology and backbone recipes like a man sizing up a bear. The backbone, or what's left after the ribs are cut, is prized for its flavor and tenderness. Pork is good, but bear is better, makes delicious broth, soup, and stir fries. It was the only meat Davy Crockett would eat. He killed hundreds of bears, leaving his wife for weeks to hunt. To prepare your own backbone, ensure your cleaver is sharp. Hack the meat into small pieces. Saute generous, abundant amounts of aromatics. Brown the meat and mix together. Savor. Be sure you have plenty to give away. A lot of people have had questions about the title of the book and the image on the book. I hope that Feller has multiple meanings that you can take as you read the book, and that those threads all come together. But this is the title poem. Feller. This is the white oak that grew among other oaks and beech, pine, and hemlock. This is the tag that marks the tree. This is the saw with whirring blades. This is the sawdust that thickens the air. Praise the machine and the task it achieves. This is the creak of the trunk splitting. This is the fracturing of fibrous limbs as they bend and break. Praise the thunder of the falling. Praise the quake of the earth accepting its weight. This is the log, hauled to the sawmill, cut into lumber, measured by board feet. Praise the planks that will shape a dwelling. This is the crown of the tree. These are the branches left to rot. This is the wood cellulose and lignin that replenish the soil. These are the fungi, the beetles and the earthworms that flourish in the oak's remains. Praise decay and decomposition. This is the feller who brought the tree down. Praise the worker and the work of felling trees. Praise the quickening pulse and the flowing blood. This is the first green leaf from last year's acorn taking root. This is the light that enters the woods and cleanses the wound. Praise the wood and the woods. Praise the light, praise the wound. I told Joe that I was grateful that this grouping was titled with observation, because a lot of people have commented about that as they've read this book. That's one of the ways that I find to have fun as I'm writing, is to just give into whatever I feel obsessive about. So this is called Rosy Maple Moth. Resting from the rough work of pollination and procreation, moths the size of my thumbnail pepper the door jamb and deck boards outside my house. They await the imminent night shift to take flight again, in some way the same way I am resting from jagged desire. And I wonder why I've never seen or never noticed the strange beauty of their woolly yellow heads and thoraxes, their silky pink and yellow wings, their lives as luscious and as fleeting as my own. And so there are a lot of trees in this book. And when I was thinking about what the cover might look like, I was sure that there would be some sort of tree represented. I was very wrong. This is, you can see a big octopus. There are actually quite a few water poems in this book too that I wasn't thinking about in that process. But as soon as I saw the cover, I understood where it came from. And this is the poem that inspired it. It's called The Octopus School of Poetry, and this will be my last poem. Yes, that they have 3 hearts is remarkable. So too the way they navigate man-made mazes, that their 8 arms simultaneously perform separate tasks, that they can unscrew jar lids even when they're trapped inside the glass. But of all the strange facts, I can't get past their ability to squirt jets of black ink. Theatrical for sure, but an effective tactic to distract a hungry eel or seal or albatross, not, unlike the poem, shooting fireworks to ward off what haunts us. Such a nifty trick. Almost worth the burden of those extra hearts. Thank you all.